we had a discussion on the future of electronic music journalism in the Netherlands, because a lot of journalists are writing about electronic music now, where a couple of years ago it would probably be more specialist journalists. Now it's also the general journalist writing a lot about electronic music, and we discussed what is good about it, what needs to improve, and what needs to happen to improve music journalism in the Netherlands. The problem with journalism in general is that it is hard to find economic models. So there is not a lot of money in music journalism, and the success of dance music is an industry success. It's not a success for journalists. So it's our advantage that we are close to the source when it comes to certain interesting developments, trends, and artists. But we struggle like every other music journalist in the world.
I'm responsible for all the editorial platforms we run in the Benelux. Vice is a global youth media company for people from approximately 18 to 30. We're based in 35 countries in the world. We have offices, and we run multiple platforms, of which Vice is sort of the mothership. It's the first. We started out as a magazine in '94 in Canada. And then from the US, exported all over the world. And then in the last couple of years, we've launched several other platforms focused on a specific subject, which we were already talking about or making features about on Vice itself. But then we gave those subjects a dedicated website, such as music and also electronic music, fashion. We have a dedicated website for electronic music culture called Thump, which is a global website as well. And on Vice itself, it's part of the features we do, but not necessarily a larger part than the rest of the features. What we are specifically interested in is more the cultural side of it. So not necessarily like reviews of new records or reviews of shows of DJs, but more what happens in the crowd, what happens in club culture, what happens in the electronic music culture, more from a cultural point of view instead of only a musical point of view. I have an editorial team of about 30 people, and each of them responsible for a different website. So we have dedicated people for all of our websites who are just in-house staff members. But we also have a large freelance contributor team, which we work with on a freelance basis.
And do you see the huge development of electronic dance music in the Netherlands reflected on the press as well? Do you have more magazines? Do you have more advertisements from the record companies and from other companies related to electronic dance music?
Not necessarily, no. Maybe there's because there's loads of like big name DJs here. There's more advertising involved, so big brands doing collaborations with artists, maybe because a lot of them are Dutch. But in terms of media, there's not I don't think relatively there's a larger part of media focused on electronic music compared to other countries.
Is it possible to separate the ordinary journalist from music journalist then? Who is music journalist, do you think?
They don't have a particular good image, I think.
Always people who want to know more about being a music journalist. If you do a workshop on music journalism, or people will always be interested. I don't think it's a dream job because it is a very tough job right now. So it's a dream job when you look at the content. It's especially when you're young and you're very swept away by a certain artist, and the whole idea that you can talk to the artist and discuss his work is a beautiful thing, and to share your passion and your knowledge. But I think a dream job should include not worrying about money, actually.
So it's not a well-paid job as a music journalist, even in the Netherlands.
There's a small difference between the DJs.
So many interesting companies like you have ADE, Alda, they have so big events. That means that they spend a lot of money on the project.
I don't think they necessarily spend a lot on media, because like the parties you're mentioning are like very well-known organizations who mostly don't have any trouble selling out their events. So it's not necessarily important for them to spend a lot on media in terms of buying. So they throw big festivals. People are going to write about it anyway.
I don't think it's the responsibility of the music scene to sponsor or fund journalism. I think if there is a responsibility for the industry, when it comes to music journalism, the only responsibility is to create the possibility to tell a good story, to report a good story. So we just were talking about, for example, like the trend of giving 10-minute so-called interviews, which in my opinion is not an interview, or being very strict on what you write, or trying to be very strict, which we cannot accept.
Or even to send your material first to the PR company to check it out and then to publish it.
I don't do that. That's completely non-negotiable. But the thing is that they do not have to fund anything, but they can help a journalist, because I mean, music journalists in general are people who really enjoy music. They do not write about music because they hate it. They write about music because they love it. So as a company, as an industry, you can facilitate this person that loves what you are doing, maybe not everything you are doing, but they have the passion for the scene, to facilitate this person to make something that's really good, which benefits everybody, in my opinion.
So when you write a bad review or you do an interview that the artist is not well presented, do you have the record companies phoning on you or PR companies complaining about it?
But I think that it depends a little bit on what medium you work for. I work for a national newspaper, and everybody knows they don't negotiate on that kind of things. So I don't really have to fight that battle. There's a lot of journalistic innovation right now. And of course, for new, we were just discussing, for example, like old magazine used to have a whole, all kinds of documentation on how the editors are independent from the commercial side. And for new blogs, for new websites, they're looking for new ways of dealing with this issue. And that will be other ways than the past generations did that, but I hope with the same values.
Do they still people buy newspapers and buy magazines, or everything now is centered around internet then for electronic dance music in particular?
I think mostly internet.
Yeah.
Obviously, people still buy newspapers.
Do they still buy magazines like?
I read a great project that somebody introduced a startup that, because there's so much information on the internet, now every morning they're going to deliver something to your house that tells you the most important news of the day.
I mean, obviously, magazines are a declining market, also in music, I think. So it's mainly internet focused. Yeah.
Okay, so do you see future then for the electronic dance music journalism in the Netherlands?
Of course.
Yeah, it's what we do.
What is your opinion then about Amsterdam Dance Event?
I think it's a very unique event. I like the way it's produced, the way it brings so many people together. Like we just said, we were talking about a certain magazine, and the person from the magazine is also here. Oh. So it brings so many people together that is super interesting.
Yeah. I think it's like a complete event. So it's not only if you compare it to other conferences, maybe mainly the one in Miami. This is maybe more business orientated, or also business orientated. So in Miami it's maybe more about the partying and networking during the events, while here maybe the day program is slightly more important. So I guess that differs it from their competitor, and I think Amsterdam is a great place to host it.
Did you like the variety of the program of the club nights offered at the festival?
500,000 events this week. So I don't know. Everything. It would be strange if if there's stuff that's uncovered now.
Do you have a favorite maybe that you want to attend?
I was actually discussing this earlier with someone else. I actually didn't really take a good look on the program until now. So I'm gonna attend some events and some drinks, and I'll see. I don't like to plan these kind of events.
Do you have like a schedule of what events are you going to cover?
There's a couple of freelancers and editors just moving around, and they have plans what they're going to do. But eventually we'll see what happens, and if it's good, we'll publish it. If it's shit, we don't.